Hey everyone, Tony Walsh here. Welcome back to the channel and another edition of Wednesday in the Word. So my message today is going to be on focusing on the positive. In this trying world, that's hard for a lot of people to do. I mean, even with me bringing you this supposedly uplifting messages, there are days that I have trouble focusing on the positive because just so many things are happening in this world today. So I want to start off with this story about a farmer who was discouraged with his farm. This farmer was so discouraged that he decided he was just going to give up and sell out. So he hired a realtor to help him sell the property. So the realtor come out, looked around and all that, and then went back to his office and wrote the sales ad. And before he posted it, he called the farmer back and said, "Let me read this ad to you." So he said the ad spoke of a good location, a well-maintained house, sturdy barns, lush pasture, a beautiful pond, fertile soil, and a great view. Well, the farmer asked the realtor, he said, "Read that again, but read it slower." So the realtor reread the ad, and the farmer finally said, "Don't print that ad." He said, "I've been looking for a place like that my whole life, so I'm not going to sell." Well, now here's where you would chuckle, I hope, but since I can't hear you, I hope you chuckled about that little story. But here's my point. It's how we look at life that matters. You know, if we have an attitude that stinks, the things around us are going to stink. But if we stay positive, the things around us hopefully will have a better look. And I'm going to repeat that a couple of times in this message because that's really the point I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to drive home is we need to focus on the positive. Another example of that is think about it this way. This come from a lady named Ella Wheeler Wilcox. I don't know who she is, just found this while I was researching this. And she had this idea when she wrote this piece of this idea. She says one ship sails to the east, another one sails to the right, to the west. Well, which way is the wind blowing? Well, see, it doesn't matter which way the wind blows. It's how they set the sails on the ship that moves it in the direction they want to go. Meaning, it doesn't matter how the wind blows us. It's how we set our personal sails to the direction that we want to go. You know, or are we going to follow the bad wind? Or are we going to ride the wave with the good wind? So set your sails in the direction that you want to go, not how the wind wants you to go. Again, what we pay attention to in life, what we focus on in life, generally determines the kind of decisions that we make. So I'm going to throw a little scripture in here. So think about the Apostle Paul, and he gives us great advice in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, when he says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." In other words, what he's saying is focus on the positive. Look at the bright side. Think about the good things in life, not the bad things. You may have to think about the bad things, but focus on the good things. So let's break that pattern today. Focus. Look up. Look forward. We also know from Scripture in Paul's life that he faced unpleasant circumstances. He faced unreasonable people. And he faced an uncertain future. And a lot of us are doing the same thing. We're facing unpleasant circumstances. We're facing unreasonable people. And we're even facing an earthly uncertain future. And I said earthly for a reason. So as I said a moment ago, and I'm going to continue saying in this whole message today, is focus on the positive as we move forward in our lives. Going back to Paul, that we know he was chained in prison. So how many of us have had an unpleasant circumstance that matches that? Now, we've had unpleasant circumstances in my life anyways, but I've never been chained in prison. But we've had other chains that have weighted us down, and it could be relationships, bills, careers, even our health. So yes, we've had to deal with heavy burdens in the past, and we still may have to face more heavy burdens before Jesus calls us home. So don't face those burdens alone. Jesus is always there for you. He's always there with you. So let's stay focused and stay positive. We know that Paul had to deal with unreasonable people, and a lot of us here have had to do the same. We will probably still deal with more unreasonable people in the future because that's just life on earth. We know that Paul had to deal with an uncertain future because he was awaiting a trial that would determine whether he lived or died. Now, we may not be in a life or death situation, but a lot of us here have had to deal with some pretty big trials in our lives. We've had to deal with some pretty big issues in our lives. And here's my point in making those comparisons, is that it all boils down to our attitude. As I opened up with, if our attitude stinks, then the outcome is more than likely not going to be what we had hoped for. But if we focus on the positive, if we look at the bright side, if we keep looking up to the future, then we'll be better far off than what we could have been. So I'm going to tell you this story from about an 8-year-old boy named Frank. Sometimes, when I'm talking to people, I have to dumb things down to where I understand it so they can understand it. So I have to tell these little simple stories to drive home the point to my hard-headed mind. So this story is about an 8-year-old boy named Frank. And he had a date with his dad to go fishing all day on Saturday. A lot of times it's hard for dads to put away or put aside a whole day for their children. Some dads are better than others. I can tell you that I missed time with John that I refused to miss with Andrew because in my younger days, I was more focused on a career and retirement instead of my child. So Frank was looking for this big day to spend fishing with his dad. So they got everything ready on Friday. Frank went to bed just the happy as could be, knew he was going to get to spend the day with his dad fishing. But on that Saturday morning, he woke up, it was raining. It was raining so hard, we go to that saying, that it was raining cats and dogs. Well, that made Frank mad. He grumbled, he griped, he complained all morning long. He kicked the furniture, he kicked the dog, he kicked the cat, he just kicked everything that got in his way, asking himself, why does it have to rain today? Well, his father tried to explain to him that the farmers needed the rain for their crops, but that didn't satisfy Frank. He didn't care about the farmers. He was wanting to go fishing, so why did it have to rain today? Well, about noon, the rain quit, the clouds moved out, the sun started shining. His dad said, well, we can't go fishing all day, but we can go fishing half a day. So off they went. They took off to the lake, put the boat in the water, and they caught more fish than they've ever caught before. Their baskets were so full that they had the best time of their lives. So finally, when they come home, they cleaned the fish. Mom cooked some of the fish for supper. And as they were sitting down to eat, the dad asked Frank, would you like to say the blessing? Frank said, God, if I sounded a little grumpier earlier today, it was because I couldn't see far enough ahead. See, that's the problem for a lot of us. We live in the moment. We let the moment dictate what we do and who we are. We're not looking ahead. We're not staying focused. We're not looking for the positivity. We're just Why does it have to rain today? Don't get caught up in those circumstances. And again, it's so easy to do. You know, the circumstances, the people, and the things that surround us can just get us off the path. So look far enough ahead. Look up. Think about the positive. And because the more we do, the more we focus on the positive, the better off our lives will be. Again, so many things in our lives are controlling us. You know, our government's run amok. Both political parties are, in my opinion, crooks. One party's worse than the other, but it still doesn't matter. They're both crooks. People around us are struggling. Bad things are happening. But even with that going on, stay positive. Because if we surround ourselves with negativity, what's our personality going to be like? You know, when I close a lot of my church services, my closing prayer ends with a phrase. You know, it depends on my mood and what my message was and all that, you know, but it ends with a phrase something like this: asking Jesus to put his warmth in our hearts, his smile on our faces, so that when others see us, they see him. They'll know the love that he has for us, the love we have for him, and that they too can have that love. They too can have a home in eternity. Remember I talked about an earthly future? Well, here's a certain future, a future of eternity. And that is staying positive in life with Jesus Christ in your heart, and let him guide your sails. Don't let the wind dictate where you go. Let Jesus help you on your path. Be like the Apostle Paul. Be like Frank. Stay focused. Stay positive for a brighter future. See, no matter what happens here on earth, when Jesus calls us home, that future will be bright. So y'all take care. God bless. And I'll see you on the next video.